Take two on this Sunday morning of A to Z Sports Titan Game Day Morning Live. I'm Luke Worsham here with you ahead of Titans versus Steelers. Let me know. We got video this time because we tried going live the first time and it froze apparently and there was no video. But Reed and I believe we have gotten this sucker figured out. So let me know if we are good to go. But I'm thrilled to be joining you this morning ahead of, as I was just saying before we were so rudely interrupted by the technical difficulties. All good. Good to see everyone in here. Titans got some help last night from the Indianapolis Colts in beating the New England Patriots, which means that if the Titans win this game today, they will retake the number one seed in the AFC. So, huge stakes today for the Titans, and what we're going to be getting into this morning are what the Titans can do to take advantage of that opportunity, what the Titans can do to end the day again as the AFC's number one seed. We're going to do that by going over three keys to the game. We're also going to talk about our best bet of the game. And this experience is about to get even better for you. Plug the audio back in. So just all sorts of great stuff this morning on Titan Game Day Morning Live. All right. Brought to you, by the way, Titan Game Day Morning Live by Two Rivers Ford, by RE/MAX Advantage and DraftKings Sportsbook. Let's hop in. We've delayed this long enough. Key number one for a Titans win in today's game is you can't let the Steelers pass rush wreck this game. Now, just 1 week ago, we watched the Titans play the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the pass protection for Ryan Tannehill was not good. In fact, Mike Vrabel was asked after the game about Ryan Tannehill's performance, and immediately out of Mike Vrabel's mouth was, we got to protect him better. That was the first thing that Mike Vrabel said. We got to protect him better. And that was against a Jacksonville team that, number one, was hardly breathing because of Urban Meyer. And the number two, Josh Allen's a good player, but outside of that was relying on the likes of Taven Bryan, who sucks. I don't like using that word to describe players very often because it's lazy, but Taven Bryan sucks. And Caleb Von Chason. That's who the Titans couldn't protect last week. Now, against the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's going to be a little bit different because you're not going against Taven Bryan and Caleb Von Chason this week. This week as the Titans, you're going against Stephon Tuitt, you're going against TJ Watt, and you're going against Cameron Hayward. These pass rushers who can absolutely destroy you and wreak havoc. So, that being the case, it is incumbent upon the Titans in this game to not let those guys wreck the game. Unfortunately, that is going to be something easier said than done because the Titans are going to have some problems on the offensive line today. We know that Roger Saffold is out. He was ruled out by Mike Vrabel on Friday. But what is also happening this week, unfortunately, is that you're probably not going to see Aaron Brewer because Aaron Brewer, who has filled in for Saffold, who has filled in for Nate Davis during injuries, is also probably not going to be available for the Titans today, meaning that at left guard, the Titans are probably relying on either Corey Levin or Dylan Radins. We'll figure out which one soon enough. But that offensive line is a real concern for the Titans today with what they're facing there. And so, however they can muster it, they can't let those pass rushers of the Pittsburgh Steelers wreck this game. I see in the chat people saying Aaron Brewer is going to play. Brock says that Teron Davenport had that. We'll give him credit for that, of course. So Aaron Brewer going to play. That's obviously big because Aaron Brewer is a good football player and probably could be a starter at other places around the league. He's done a nice job, as I mentioned, filling in for Saffold and for Davis in the midst of injury. So appreciate you guys bringing that knowledge to me. But, Watt and Tuitt and Hayward, those guys are going to make plays. They're going to make things happen. But there's a difference between them making plays and them showing up and them wrecking the game. A little bit of a history lesson or a reminder perhaps for you Titans fans. Back when Mike Mularkey was the head coach of the Titans, my favorite thing about Mike Mularkey is that week in and week out, he would talk about game wreckers. If the Titans were going to play the Minnesota Vikings, he would say Adrian Peterson is a game wrecker. If the Titans were going to play the then Oakland Raiders, he would say Khalil Mack is a game wrecker. And what Mike Vrabel would do each and every week is he would say, if you're going to beat Mike Mularkey, he would say, if you're going to beat the Tennessee Titans, you're not going to do it with your game wreckers. Now, Vrabel, though he doesn't use that terminology like Mularkey did, has been pretty good about that, right? The game wreckers don't really destroy the Titans. But that's the kind of mentality the Titans have got to have in this game today. And Kenneth, as we're talking about this, I think you're right. Aaron Brewer playing is huge because I think you trust Aaron Brewer a whole heck of a lot more with his experience and his pedigree than you would for some of these other guys like Levin and Radens, who's done nothing. So you can't let the game wreckers wreck the game for the Titans. And those game wreckers are very obviously the Steelers pass rushers. So with some of the injuries the Titans have going on the offensive line, and taking into account the fact that last week they struggled against a not-so-good Jacksonville Jaguars pass rush, if it's for my money, key number one is going to be to neutralize that Steelers pass rush. And look, there are a lot of ways you can do that. You can get the ball out quick. You can move the pocket to keep those guys moving, right? The same things that we saw the Texans and the Patriots do to great success against the Titans, right? There are things you can do schematically to make that happen. So that's what that's what you got to look at if you're the Titans today. Key number one, neutralize that Pittsburgh Steelers pass rush. Now, we're going to transition now into our second key. We're also going to talk about Two Rivers Ford in just 1 second. But I've got a question for you guys because, and I appreciate all the jokes. It's like we wish that the video had remained off so that we didn't have to see Luke this morning. So as we talk about the fact that, Watt and Tuitt and Hayward, these guys are going to make plays. There are going to be some sacks in today's game. It's just the reality of it. Pittsburgh's got a quality defense. So here's what I want to know. How many sacks is too many today? How many sacks is too many? At what point, how many sacks is it going to be where you're watching this game and you're like, this is too much. They're not going to be able to overcome this. Because I think maybe you can give away, a sack or two. But I'm interested. How many sacks is too many? What's the limit for you guys today where you say, at this point, it's no longer just them playing well. This is a Mike Vrabel failure. Interested to see what your answers are. We'll get to those in just 1 second. First, I want to talk to you about our friends at Two Rivers Ford because they are the best car buying experience in the Nashville area. And this is why. Because at Two Rivers Ford, they only employ non-commissioned salespeople. You know what you get when you have commissioned salespeople? You get pressured, you get harassed, and you get pressured into making a decision that ultimately is not best for you and your family because these folks are only interested in getting their commission. Not the case at Two Rivers Ford because when you shop for a car at Two Rivers Ford, what they want more than anything is for you to have a comfortable buying experience. They want you to make the best decision for you and your family, and they want you to leave confident that you made the right choice. And to help that happen, if you're looking on the lot and there's a specific color or model that you want that they don't have, they'll order it for you. That is the Two Rivers Ford guarantee. So if you're in the market for a car, go check out Two Rivers Ford, the best car buying experience in the Nashville area. Give them a call at 800-900-1000. How many sacks will be too many? Mark says 0. Well, I would hope that would not be too many because that should probably be the goal. But I'm seeing a lot of 3. That's Lucas says 3 is the number, and that seems to sort of be the consensus. Brad says 1. Chris says 3. Jonathan says 3. Michael says 4. Billy going really high. Billy thinks the Titans can still have success with this key, allowing 5 sacks. I appreciate the confidence from Billy. Will says 3. Richard says 3. Dave also says 3. Brock says 3. I think that's probably the number because these guys are going to make their plays. They're going to get their due, but you can't let them wreck the game. And I think once you get to that 3 number, that's when you start to enter that territory of just really letting yourself go on offense and not giving yourself a chance. So I'm gonna go with the chat. I agree with you guys. I think 3 is probably the answer there. A to Z Sports Titan Game Day Morning Live presented by Two Rivers Ford Remax Advantage and DraftKings Sportsbook. Key number 2 for Titans win today is they strive to end the day back in the AFC's number 1 seed. Again, an ability they have thanks to the Colts winning last night over the New England Patriots. Key number 2, Titans got to find some explosive plays on offense badly. Now, Ryan Tannehill and Todd Downing and Vrabel have been asked a lot about this lately, the lack of explosive plays on offense. And what those 2 coaches and Tannehill keep going back to is, well, we're trying. That's what they keep saying. We're trying, and they're leaving meat on the bone. That's what they're saying. They're saying they're trying to make these plays happen, but they're not there. Maybe that's true. I'm not the guy who's going back and watching every single play on the tape and breaking down what's trying to be done, right? I can't tell you whether they're actually doing that. Perhaps they are. Here's what I can tell you. It's not working. Whatever they're trying to get plays down the field, it's not working. And so in a game like this, where you're playing a really talented pass rush, as we have already covered ad nauseum, you can't dink and dunk for 60 minutes. It's not going to work, especially when your run game is not efficient. Because last week, the Titans running backs, Foreman, Hilliard, and Jeremy McNichols, averaged 2.81 yards per carry. That's not an efficient run game. So you stack that on top of an inefficient passing game, you're going to struggle to score points against a pass rush that's this talented. And so what the Titans have to do in today's game is they've got to make big plays. Now, Dion has a criticism of Todd Downing. He says the problem is Downing can't scheme his guys open to make big plays. And Dion, I think there's probably something to that. I don't think Todd Downing has consistently done a good job of scheming up plays down the field. I will say this too, though. I don't know that he has consistently had options available to him that made sense as downfield targets. But have now Mr. Julio Jones, which he didn't have for a long time. In fact, they went through a stretch where their best receiver was Nick Westbrook-Akina, who's not a downfield threat. And so now you have Julio Jones. And Julio is not a burner, right, at 32 years old. He's not going to fly by the entire defense, but he is a downfield threat. We saw it in the Seattle game. We saw it in the Buffalo game. This guy can make plays down the field. This guy can stretch a defense. And so what I want to see from the Titans today, what I think we need to see from the Titans today, if they want to win this game and get back to the number one seed in the AFC, is a big play or two or three to Julio Jones. The Titans have got to get that guy involved down the field. Now, Donald says Julio is washed. I don't know about that. He had been great. He has not lived up to the expectations so far, because when the Titans went out and traded for Julio Jones, they went out and thought they were getting someone who was going to be like a Super Bowl difference maker and was going to take them over the edge. That has not happened yet. It could, theoretically, has not happened yet. He has not lived up to expectations, but I'm not ready to declare him washed quite yet. I think that is probably too far. Mark says you can only call plays for the players available. Julio will have a day today. I think that he needs to for the Titans to have some success, because, again, going against this good of a pass rush with the Titans run game that has been inefficient and that Todd Downing characterized on Thursday as, again, having, leaving meat on the bone, you can't dink and dunk for 60 minutes because you're going to put yourself in a hole. Because if you dink and dunk for 60 minutes, you keep putting yourself in these third downs, even if they're third and manageables, where you're letting these pass rushers, Watt and Tuitt and Hayward, come after you. They got to get something going down the field. Now, Maven brings up an interesting point, and I think that this is worth discussing. Maven says you got to get the ball out quick, because there is a balance here, right? Because key number one was don't let the pass rush wreck the game. One way to do that is get the ball out quick. Well, if you're trying to get plays down the field, you're not getting the ball out quick, right? You have to sit. You have to drop. You have to let things develop. And Maven, I think that there is a balance that you have to find there if you're the Titans. And that's the key word, because it can't be one or the other. It can't be quick throw, and that's all it is the whole game, because I don't think you're going to win that way. But if they think that they're going to come into this game and take a whole bunch of shots, that's probably not going to work either. So Titans got to find some kind of balance there today between getting the ball out quick, neutralizing that Steelers pass rush, and also being able to get some shots down the field, because another stagnant effort from the offense today, I don't think is going to get the job done. We talked a lot about Julio in this segment. So before we get to key number 3, I got another question for you guys. How many receiving yards Julio Jones need today? Very simple question. Because I think we all agree that as we talk about the Titans finding explosiveness in the passing game, Julio Jones, it has to be the guy who it comes from. So how many receiving yards do you need to see from Julio Jones in today's game to where you're confident? Like, if I told you right now Julio Jones gets this many receiving yards, you would say, well, then that means the Titans must have won. Right? That's what we're looking for here. How many yards for Julio Jones for the Titans to win today as we think about them needing to have explosive plays down the field. As you're thinking about your answers, putting those in the chat, I want to talk to you about our friend Gary Ashton and his team at Remax Advantage. If you have driven in Nashville ever, you have undoubtedly seen a Gary Ashton billboard. And the catchphrase that he puts on all of these billboards across town is "Don't sell without the intel." And the reason that Gary can put that as his catchphrase is because he has the intel to back it up. Because of his experience, his connections, his relationships in the Nashville real estate market, Gary Ashton can give you the best competitive advantage if you are looking to buy or sell a home in the Nashville area. And with the Nashville real estate market being as hot and competitive as it is, you want Gary on your side. You want that competitive advantage. Gary is the official real estate provider of the Tennessee Titans, of the Nashville Predators, and he holds those distinctions for a reason. So whether you're looking to buy, whether you're looking to sell, don't sell without the intel, and you can get your dream address without the stress by going to GaryAshton.com and giving his team a shout. Let's see what people have to say. How many receiving yards for you to feel confident from Julio Jones and the Titans offense in today's game? Brian going very, very high with 120. Byrne says 90. Clayton says 75. Steven says over 100. I think that's only happened for him in the Seattle game, right? I think that's the only 100-yard game we've seen from Julio. Chris Sykes says 70. Ben says 69. Nice. Titans. Kyle says 70 plus. Van says 75 and a touchdown. 80 to 85 says trail of money. Richard says 100. Brad says 85. Donald 100 and a touchdown. Karen 120. Very high numbers across the board, which I wonder if that means, do you guys think the Titans don't have much of a shot to win today? Because those are very high numbers that we really have not seen from Julio Jones. I'm going to go with 70. That's my number. I think if Julio Jones can get to 70, a little below what Ken says 75. I'm going to go a little bit below. I'm going to go 70. I think if Julio Jones can hit that 70 mark, that means the Titans offense will be on track. One more key for Titans win today to end the day as the AFC's number one seed here on Titan Game Day Morning Live is that the Titans need to set the tone today with a productive pass rush. They will be helped in that effort by Bud Dupree, who returns today off of injured reserve. He was activated by the Titans yesterday, and that's big. And I asked Danico Autry on Thursday, because the Titans are really big when they talk about their pass rush, about the teamwork aspect of it, about all the guys being on the same page and working together and not being independent contractors. And when I asked Danico Autry sort of about the impact of having Bud Dupree back, he lit up. He's like, oh, man, it's going to be huge having Bud back. Because I think what it does is it really opens things up for Shane Bowen. And so as we talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers pass rush on one side, it's formidable. It's scary. But when the Titans have their guys, which they're going to have today, Simmons, Autry, Landry, and Dupree, I think that's a real counterpunch. And so what we need to see from these guys, they're going to be on the field. They're going to be out there. They're going to be in uniform. We need to see them execute. We need to see them make an impact and set the tone with some sacks in today's game. Because I think that is a huge path, potentially, to the Titans winning this game. Karen says Bud will have an angry game. We didn't get to talk to Bud Dupree at practice this week because he was still on injured reserve. But I would imagine that, I don't know about a revenge game. I don't think that Bud Dupree and the Steelers ended on bad terms. But there's got to be some motivation there, Karen, and I think you're absolutely right to point that out. Says the question Luke should have asked is, how many rushing yards do the Titans need to win? That's certainly an interesting point there. Dion says not just Bud, but Derek Roberson to help rotate in. I don't get the Derek Roberson fascination. I really don't. I don't think he's that good. He's been on this team for 3 years, had a big role in terms of snaps last year, and really did nothing. I think if you're looking for Derek Roberson to make an impact in the pass rush, you're going to be sorely disappointed. And Steven brings up Zach Cunningham, who we haven't even talked about. Going to make his Titans debut today at inside linebacker. Certainly someone else to watch as well. But as we think about this third key and the Titans needing to have this pass rush today, I really think that's what sets the tone for him, because you know where Ben Roethlisberger is going to be. He's going to be in the pocket, right? He's not moving anywhere. And though the Steelers throw quick passes, they get the ball out quick, they don't belabor the point offensively, there are going to be times where the Titans will have an opportunity to rush Ben Roethlisberger. And when they have those chances, they've got to take advantage of them. They've got to let the pass rush set the tone in today's game. And I think that starts with Bud Dupree. Van says he just wants good production from Bud Dupree. I think what Dupree has done is he's helped the others when he's been out there. But you're right, the individual production has not been there. So hopefully that will turn around for the Titans in today's game. And I think if it does, they've got a good chance to win. Before we wrap up, we've still got our best bet of the game that is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. And they've got a great deal going on for you right now, because if you head to DraftKings.com/sportsbook and you give them the promo code A to Z Sports, you can put $5 on an NBA team to win straight up. And if that happens, that $5 becomes $150 in free bets. That is only at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Must be 21 years or older, present in Tennessee to participate. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Best bet for today, Titans versus Steelers. Ryan Tannehill over 13.5 rushing yards. This is probably one of the more niche best bets we've gone with. Typically, we go with one that, sort of sets the tone for the game. Like, we would go with the Julio Jones bet as we talk about the Titans needing to get him involved. But as I was looking at the props for this game, that one just stuck out to me because I feel like Tannehill probably has more than that game in and game out. That's like, one really first down scramble of 14 yards. And especially as Derrick Henry continues to sit out, as Tannehill probably will move the pocket a little bit today, to avoid the Steelers pass rush, there's going to be some running room for Ryan Tannehill. And so I think that Tannehill over 13.5 rushing yards is a safe bet. That is minus 110. So head to DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Nail that bet in. It's a little niche, but it really stood out to me, and I think it's something that could really happen today. Yeah, Bobbin says way over. I'm kind of with you there. I think that one has a really good chance to hit. Kind of surprised me, honestly, when I saw it on the site. But head to DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Lock that in. And again, use the promo code A to Z Sports. $5 on any NBA team to win straight up. And when that happens, that will become $150 in free bets. To recap, our 3 keys for the Titans to end the day back as the AFC's number 1 seed, which again is possible thanks to the Colts last night. Don't let the Steelers pass rush wreck the game. They're going to make plays. Don't let them wreck the game. Key number 2, find some explosive plays on offense. You can't dink and dunk. You can't rely on this inefficient run game. You got to take shots down the field and make it happen. And third, set the tone with a productive pass rush in Bud Dupree's return to Pittsburgh. That's going to do it for us this morning. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Pre-game show with Austin and Zach at 11:30 live from Mill Creek. Until then, for Luke Worsham, well, that's me. So for me and producer Reed, who is here as well, y'all have a good afternoon. Enjoy the game.